What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's Dylan back here for another video, and today is part 1 of 2 of my NFC Divisional, Which NFL Team is Better series. If you guys saw in the wild card round, if you've seen this series before, you know exactly what I'm doing. This is the Cowboys and the Rams edition. I am looking at each position and seeing which team has the better quarterback, running back, wide receiver, etc. I decided not to include tight ends, so I could include head coaches in this video. Next video, you're going to see the tight ends included and not the kickers. So, yeah, if you know what's going on, let's go ahead and get started. All right, first off, we have the quarterbacks for both teams. For the Cowboys, we have Dak Prescott, 356 completions on 526 attempts in the regular season, 3,885 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, and 8 picks. In the wildcard game, he was 22 of 33, 226 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, also had a rushing touchdown. And then Jared Goff in the regular season, 364 completions on 561 attempts, 4,688 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 12 picks. This one's kind of an interesting one for me. I mean, Jared Goff hasn't been amazing over the stretch of the last couple of games of the season, but I'm going to have to go with Jared Goff and the Rams here for this quarterback, which is better. Dak Prescott is a leader. He's been one of the key guys to lead big-time drives at the end of the games. I think he has the most comeback drives since 2016. And, you know, as a Cowboys fan, I've seen what he can do and what he can't do. But Jared Goff was the #1 pick in that same draft class. You know what the Rams have focused on him. And he did struggle in that first year because of the Jeff Fisher system. But in the last 2 years, you've seen that he can throw the ball pretty well. You can see the things that he has grown into. And with Sean McVay, he has had a pretty good success rate. And during the course of the first 11 to 12 weeks of the season, he was doing a fantastic job and was in the running for MVP. I know he did not come up with it at the end, but I would go with Jared Goff just by a slight margin. But if this comes down to it, this is just a which is better in the statistical category kind of thing. But if it comes down to it in the game, it could be very different. But I'm going to go with Goff here. All right, next up we have the running back category. For the Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott, 304 rushes, 1,434 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns to go along with 77 receptions, 567 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. But in the wild card round, he had 26 rushes, 137 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then Todd Gurley in the regular season, 256 rushes, 1,251 yards, 17 rushing touchdowns, 59 receptions, 580 yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. Look, both of these guys are at the top of their game. They're 2 of the top 5 running backs in the league, and it's kind of sucks to put one of them a little bit ahead of the other because they're so very talented. Both guys are future, running back legends in the game, I think. But I'm just going to go with Gurley a little bit in terms of the statistical category because he scores touchdowns a little bit more efficiently than Elliott. That's because of their offensive system. In the Cowboys system, it kind of gets flown all over the place, and it's more of a situational thing. With the Rams, they know that Gurley is a great running back. They know how to use him very effectively, and he's going to get those scores. And look, 17 rushing touchdowns, I think that's pretty good, all things considered. And he missed the last 2 games of the season, so he couldn't even help out those stats. But I mean, again, don't miscredit what Elliott's going to do here. I mean, Elliott is a great running back in his own right, and he's one of the top 5 in the game. It's just, paired up with Gurley, it's just a little bit better, and especially with getting those touchdowns. So even though the Rams take this one with a little grain of salt here. All right, next up, wide receiver core for both teams. We have Amari Cooper for the Cowboys, 53 receptions, 725 yards, and 6 touchdowns in the regular season. He had 7 catches and 106 yards in the wild card round. He was very good in that game. And Cole Beasley, 65 catches, 672 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the regular season. And then for the Rams, we have Brandon Cooks, 80 receptions, 1,204 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And Robert Woods, 86 catches, 1,217 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. Look, Amari Cooper's great. I think he's fantastic. You know me. But I'm going to go with the Rams here. And it's really down to how effective Cooks and Woods are in their own perspective offense. They are used as, Brandon Cooks is used as a deep threat. You know what he can do. You look at Robert Woods, who's improved tremendously over the last 2 seasons. I mean, this guy really is under the radar still. It's kind of surprising to me. But both receivers have gotten their jobs done. They got over 1,000 yards receiving, which I do not believe any Cowboy receiver did this year. They both have a good amount of touchdowns, 6 touchdowns for Woods, 5 touchdowns for Cooks. They're missing the third guy, Cup, obviously, for the season, so it would help them even more in this category. But with those two guys, I mean, again, it's not like a huge margin on this one, but I think the combination of Cooks and Woods is just a little bit stronger than Cooper and his next man up. So I'm going to take the Rams here, and they've already come up to a 3-0 lead here. Next up, we got the offensive line for both teams. For the Cowboys, Tyron Smith, could be Su'a-Filo. It's also Connor Williams, depends on who's healthy. Joe Looney, Zach Martin, and Leo Collins. And then for the Rams, Andrew Whitworth, Roger Saffield, John Sullivan, Austin Blythe, and Rob Havenstein. I'm going to go with the Rams here. And again, I know this is kind of a Rams better kind of thing, but hear me out. The Cowboys' offensive line is still very, very solid. Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, you know what they're going to do. Zach Martin, I believe, was an all-pro this year. You know what they're going to bring to the table. It kind of just comes down to the other three guys that are holding it down. Su'a-Filo has been pretty good when he's out there. And Looney's not been terrible at the center position, taking over for Travis Frederick this season. But those two guys hold it down. And the thing is that the Rams' offensive line is great, honestly. It's one of the tops in the game. Andrew Whitworth has always been very good. He's had a great season. Rob Havenstein's having a pretty good year. Overall, this collective unit has been rated as one of the best offensive line crews in the entire NFL, and it continues to show. And against the Cowboys' offensive line, again, it's one of those, oh man, it sucks to put one over the other, but you got to do it at some point. So I'm going to go with the Rams' offensive line, especially with guys like Whitworth and Havenstein. Those guys are having really good years, and it just puts over the talent that is the Cowboys' offensive line. All right, now we're going to the defensive side of the ball. Let's go to the defensive line for both teams. For the Cowboys, we had DeMarcus Lawrence, Tyron Crawford, Antoine Woods, Randy Gregory, Malik Collins, and if he's healthy, David Irving. Those are the guys you're going to see most often on the field. And then for the Rams, you got Michael Brockers, Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh, and Dante Fowler Jr. This is a very controversial one, and I want everybody to listen before they put this in the comments, okay? I'm going to go with the Cowboys defensive line, and it's for this reason. I think the overall talent of the 6 guys that are there that I just mentioned is better in depth than the guys in the Rams defensive line. Don't get me wrong, Aaron Donald's better than every single one of them. He is one of, if not the best defensive player in the game, and 20.5 sacks is extremely impressive for a defensive tackle. It's insane. But when they're going by a defensive line, it's not as simple as a quarterback because it's one player versus one player. And if I was to put one player versus one player in this scenario, I would definitely pick Aaron Donald over everybody. But just like I'm going to talk about tomorrow with Michael Thomas and the Saints wide receiver core, it's not as strong, right? I feel like DeMarcus Lawrence and Tyron Crawford, they need to get their respect. D-Law is going to be a very heavily paid man in the offseason for what he has done, especially in this season. And Tyron Crawford has done amazing. Antoine Woods is a guy that didn't get talked a lot. Malik Collins in that defensive line, that defensive tackle position. Randy Gregory's gotten a couple of really nice sacks. I feel like they have outproduced the rest of the guys on the defensive line for the Rams. Ndamukong Suh's had a good season, but not great. Dante Fowler hasn't been heard from a lot lately. I just feel like the Cowboys' defensive line is a little bit stronger overall. So I know people are going to put it in the comment section already. I can understand it, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. All right, next up, we have the linebackers for both teams. For the Cowboys, we have Leighton Vander Esch, Jalen Smith, and Damian Wilson. And for the Rams, we have Mark Barron, Samson Ebukam, Corey Littleton, and Matt Longacre. This one's pretty simple to me. The Cowboys win this one. Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, you see their speed and Vander Esch's IQ. I mean, these guys were all over the field in 2018. They had a great season. They were the talk of the town, it seemed like. Vander Esch, with his rookie campaign, did tremendous. And Jalen Smith, I mean, let's talk about this guy. He really came back into stride. When he was picked in the second round by the Cowboys, people were like, is he going to recover from that ACL injury, that really gruesome injury that he had in Notre Dame's bowl game, I believe in 2017? And he came in full stride this season, and those two guys just played tremendous. So, the Rams have good linebackers. Ebukam has had his really good games this season, and Corey Littleton I like a lot, but overall, LVE and Jalen Smith have been the best linebacker duo in the game, and I got to pick them over the Rams. Now we have the secondary for both the Cowboys and the Rams. For the boys, we have Byron Jones, Chidobe Awuzie, Jeff Heath, and Jordan Lewis. And for the Rams, we have Marcus Peters, John Johnson, Aqib Talib, and LaMarcus Joyner. I also forgot to mention that the boys have Xavier Woods as well. I'm going to go with the boys on this one, the Cowboys. I think this one's pretty easy to me. Byron Jones was rated as one of the highest cornerbacks in the game this year. He had a very good 2018. And besides his matchup with DeAndre Hopkins, I think he held his own against most of the number one receivers on the teams that he faced. Chidobe Awuzie is a nice number 2 guy. I like what he brought in 2018. He did get burned at times, but he had overall a good year and a guy that I was looking forward to having a breakout year in 2018. I guess it went to Byron because he went back to corner, but he still had a good 2018. I don't like Heath. You know how I feel about him. But Jordan Lewis and Xavier Woods have had their good share of good moments in 2018. The thing for me also is that the Rams secondary has been pretty disappointing. I mean, you get Marcus Peters early in the year, or start off the year, and he has not been very good. Aqib Talib is old. He is just old, but he could make his presence there. LaMarcus Joyner's had a pretty good year, in my opinion, but secondary has lacked. And they give up a lot of big plays. That's the thing with the Rams secondary. If you can get past their front 7, you could burn them on a couple of long plays. And we've seen that in 2018. I don't think the Cowboys do that nearly as often. So I'm going to go with the boys. It's just the overall production in 2018 has been stronger from the Cowboys than the Rams in the secondary. All right, so it's 4-3 Rams coming into our kicker matchup. We have Brett Maher for the Cowboys, 29 of 36 on the year, 6 of 8 from 30 to 39, 7 of 11 from 40 to 49, and 6 of 7 from 50 plus. And then Greg the Leg Zerline for the Rams, 27 of 31, 10 of 10 from 30 to 39, 4 of 6 from 40 to 49, and 4 of 6 from 50 plus. I'm going to go with Greg the Leg here. Maher scares me every single time he kicks a football, especially in the 40 to 49 yard range. I do not understand why this man cannot kick that field goal, but yet he's 6 of 7 in the regular season from 50 plus. It boggles my mind, honestly. Greg the Leg is more consistent. He is perfect from 30 to 39. Brett Maher is only 6 of 8, so you got to give him that edge there. I think he's better in every category in terms of yardage and percentage-wise, and there's no question. Greg the Leg is more consistent. Brett Maher scares me every single time, and it looks like Maher's best thing that he can do is kick 50 and 60-yard field goals. I don't know why. Well, actually, no, he missed a 58-yarder in the playoffs, so what am I supposed to do? I have no idea. I'm going to go take the Greg the Leg, though. He is way more consistent in the kicking game. All right, final category for today's video, the head coaching category. Jason Garrett or Sean McVay? Who is the better head coach? Well, if you have an IQ of about 15 when it comes to football, you would know that Sean McVay is a better head coach. But I'm going to defend Jason Garrett here, actually. I really am. I know I've been a huge hater of this guy. But the Cowboys were 3-5 to start off the year. They did not look like a playoff team. There were so many questions and all this conversation of having Jason Garrett fired. It was crazy. But they finished 7-1, and it takes some head coaching responsibility to make that happen. You have to do something. You have to change up the style, the offense, everything. They went 7-1, and it took a decent head coach to do that, and Jason Garrett led that stretch in the second half of the year. He deserves the credit. But Sean McVay is the better head coach overall. You know his offensive line. He's very astute. He's very young. He's going to be a great head coach for years to come. And you see it in the 2 seasons. He has drastically changed the Rams offense and defense for the better. Wade Phillips is more the defense, but he has changed this team for the better. You saw the Jeff Fisher years. They were not very good. You needed a better head coach to get this job done to even have, this kind of position in the playoffs. And Sean McVay has been able to do that. So give Jason Garrett his credit for what he's done in the second half of the year, but Sean McVay is the better head coach. So that is going to do it for me, guys. If you enjoyed, smash the like button. Comment below. What did you think of my picks in every category? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I know there's going to be some heated conversations about the D-line. I expect that. But the Rams overall are 6-3 in these picks. I had them in the quarterback, the running back, wide receiver, offensive line, head coaching, and kicker departments. The only ones they lost were the defensive line, the linebackers, and the secondary. But again, they're very close in some of these ones. Like the quarterback's actually kind of closer than you think, and the running backs are really, really close. And wide receiver core is not as amazing compared to some other wide receiver cores. So it's pretty close, actually, to be honest. I know the Rams won 6-3 here, and if you think their defensive line is better, you could say 7-2, but it's still a pretty close matchup between the Cowboys and the Rams, and I'm looking forward to that game on Saturday. Subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL content. You know, we are rolling out videos in the playoffs. We've been releasing content like it's nothing. You can go check out Mitch's, which NFL teams are better for the AFC Divisional Round. He's already got those uploaded. And I'm going to upload my other one with the Saints and Eagles talk tomorrow. So you do not want to miss those videos. So thank you for watching. Dylan of the Bottom Line View. Peace out.